And now, a northeast photographer is doing it too. By day, Chris Greenwood snaps young lovebirds at their weddings, but at night, he's more interested in zombie brides. What, are those the ones wandering down the big market who've had too much to drink with blank looks on their faces?
I think so.
Yeah, that kind of thing, basically. So, tell me about the film you're making.
Okay, well, we're producing a film called Zombie Women of Satan 2.
Zombie Women of Satan 2?
It's exactly how it sounds. It's ridiculous and terrific.
Okay, now, where do you come up with the title?
Well, originally, my co-producer Warren Speed approached me a few years ago to make a short zombie film, and I said, well, you know, no point in making a short film, let's make a feature. So we, I don't know, these things happen. I mean, anyone who knows Warren and works with me knows that these things just happen randomly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Random's good.
But we wanted to kind of create something that, even from the title alone, you'd see it on the DVD shelf and be like, that, I want to see that.
Okay,
you know?
Zombie Brides of Satan 2.
Zombie Women of Satan 2.
I saw a horror film starring Danny Dyer on Saturday night, which was more comedic than anything else. It was dreadful, where all women caught a disease and went bonkers. I don't think they need to catch a disease.
Was it meant to be a horror, or was it a horror because Danny Dyer was in it?
No, it was meant to be a horror.
Okay.
Danny Dyer's going into EastEnders. Don't slag off the Dyer.
No, well, I did like him in Football Factory, I've got to be honest with you, but he seems to be caught up in these little bit films, and I don't know, maybe he's just taking the wrong direction for me, but hopefully EastEnders will pull him back. Maybe.
So, here's a clip, right, as a plot is hatched to get revenge on the character Perv.
Pervo. So basically, I'll just explain it really quick. So our main characters are evil bad woman Octavia Zander, which is a character led in from the first film. She's basically hatching a plan to her crazy family, but because it's her comedy and the ridiculous, the characters are all crazy, they're not really listening, and they're more interested in playing with toys.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Zombie Women of Satan 2.
Whilst he's busy partying, we're going to affect them all with our virus, which we're going to hide in some delicious punch, which will then turn them into brain-dead zombies who'll kill all of Pervo's friends, just like he pilled our family. So for the 5th and final time, do you guys understand?
Is there limb slashing?
There is some... There's a lot of blood. A lot of blood. It's very much a comedy in the horror genre. We've sold it as a comedy horror. We wanted to take a slightly different direction than the first film and inject a lot more humour into this one. So especially with having Pete Bennett, who was with the winner of Big Brother 7 in.
Oh, the guy with Tourette's.
Yeah, he's absolutely unbelievable, and we created a character not that different from Jim Carrey in The Mask or as the Riddler, especially when he puts on his character's suit. He's just unbelievable, and because you've got that much humour, it'd be a shame not to make it a comedy.
Why did you go for Pete? Interesting choice, and I'm sure talented man.
He is. He's absolutely brilliant, and there's a reason behind it. I mean, my business background meant that when I was making a film, I wanted to draw upon what we could. You know, we didn't have the budget. The budget for this film was £8,000. We didn't have a huge budget to get a big star. So what we thought about was people who've got some star power, but aren't necessarily in the acting game. And I think we got in touch with Pete via Twitter. I think that's how we originally got in touch with him, and my co-producer Warren Speed had a chat, and he agreed to do it. We went to London, auditioned him, and the guy was just absolutely unbelievable, and ever since then we've all just became really, really good friends.
So you've been filming this around the northeast. What kind of locations will people recognise?
They'll recognise, it's funny, actually, a few places have shut down now, which is bad enough, but no, we've been filming in Sunderland, Chester Street, Newcastle. We've been filming at the Northern Stage. We're going to be filming soon, hopefully at a few different venues around Newcastle. Morpeth, Stannington Station. We've filmed pretty much everywhere we could.
Right.
Which is great.
Did you get strange looks from passers-by with lots of zombies running around?
Yes. Yes. Which, especially when we were having a break during filming and we were like, right, everybody go outside for a cigarette, and they just stood there by, in the middle of the high street, sort of all dressed up as zombies having cigarettes. It was a little bit, strange.
It was bad enough this morning. I saw somebody dressed in full Power Ranger costume walking in Long Benton opposite the dog shelter. And I'm like, it's Halloween, love. Where does that come into it?
I think it's one of these things when you see women out for Halloween dressed as like bunnies and things like that. I don't know if they entirely get the it's meant to be scary, not so much dressed as like a Playboy bunny. But, you know, there we go.
So, your passion for horror, where did it come from?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I never grew up with horror. I didn't, and it wasn't until I sort of got into my teens that I really started watching it a lot more. I think this film really caught my attention because I was very early on involved in the first film, but I had to step out for I had too much work on at the time. So Warren went on to make the film, and he had great success. He went down to Cannes Film Festival. There's a lot of photos on Google of them storming the beach with the zombies, and it was absolutely brilliant. So I spoke with Warren early last year after he'd made the first film, and bear in mind the first film got distribution all around the world. It was UK, US, Canada, Australia, Spain, I think possibly in Japan as well. They got distribution, and for a low budget film out of the Northeast, that's amazing. So when I spoke with Warren last Christmas, we had a chat and we said, you know, what about making the second one? And for me, as a first time feature film director, to have a guaranteed distribution for a film on your first attempt is just too good to pass up.
So Chris Greenwood here is a photographer and now has made a second zombie film, and it's called Zombie Women of Satan 2.
It's exactly how it sounds.
I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but so when you've got $8,000 to play with, does it look cheap?
No, which is a great thing about this film. I mean, actually, true production value on this film, for people who don't know, the production value is essentially what you see on screen, what it would or should cost to actually get them things in. And the true production value on this film is probably upwards of about £300,000. We've managed to get a lot of things for free or very, very low cost. I mean, we've had over 150 cast and crew, probably close to 200 cast and crew. Many of them have given their time up for nothing, travelled all the way from places like Portsmouth and Southampton to come up to film just to be part of it. And we never... we're always clear with everyone. We always said, look, we don't have much money. You can be involved with you want, and the amount of response that we got back has been unbelievable.
And do these people do it because they love acting?
I think it's a mix. Some people want to do it because generally everyone loves zombies, you know. I mean, it doesn't appeal to everybody, but, you know, people of my sort of age range, you know, the sort of younger generation, zombies are coming back in, and for the chance for a lot of people...
Walking Dead is a big...
The Walking Dead, yeah. I mean, it's huge, and zombies are definitely on the way back in, and I know they had the time in the past, but they're certainly coming back, and I think people wanted a chance to be part of that. But as well, we've got the people who want to further their acting careers and we've gave them speaking roles as opposed to just extras, that kind of thing, you know?
So what are the essential ingredients of a good horror film? Because having watched 2 at the weekend, I watched The Exorcist, which still, you know, holds its own.
Yes, definitely.
Anthony Hopkins' The Right. There's something about that. I like the psychological stuff, and the Hopkins thing just had a thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I particularly like the psychological horror.
Yeah.
I particularly like I can't remember if it was Quentin Tarantino in a interview he was talking about From Dusk Till Dawn, where he was referring to Stephen King as one of the masters of getting the audience to invest in a character and then throwing the horror at them. So by that point, when the horror hits them, you're completely invested into the characters, that you go along with that ride. And I'm a big fan of The Thing, the Kurt Russell film. I think it was from 1984. You know, very much suspenseful, classed as a horror, and it's because of the psychology. You know, that game that film is very much a who is it, you know, and it's that side of things. I don't get me wrong, I like my gory films, but I much more prefer the ones where
I'd never go to Australia. For the simple reason I've had 2 Australian bosses. Okay. And one I've seen Wolf Creek.
Right.
I would after that I ain't going. Where do you hope to take this film when it's done? Will we get to see it on, you know, the big screen at the gate and stuff like that?
We hope so. I mean, the aim was to initially the aim from the off was to put it in the cinemas. We're undecided at the moment as to whether we stick with Zombie Women of Satan 2 or possibly change the name to refresh the franchise. The pure reason is because many sequels where the first film went on DVD. Because of that, we're not too sure if this one would make it in the cinemas being called Zombie Women of Satan 2. But we have discussed possibly changing the name, but we're still undecided yet, and we're possibly going to leave that to the distributors. But we already have a DVD distribution offer, guaranteed, if we want it. But we're going to make this film, go down to Cannes Film Festival, and where in the first film they took a few zombies down, a few of the main cast, we're hoping to go down there with 2 coachfuls of zombies and storm the beach and have lots of publicity, and hopefully that'll generate enough publicity for us, and if we make a great film, that'll hopefully bring us a better distribution deal.
So, quick answer. This one is a success. People pay to go and see it. Is someone going to give you a few 100,000 to make another one?
I would hope so. I mean, the next film we've kind of already got planned. It's not Zombie Women of Satan 3, but we're hoping that we can get the investment for the next film, and that'll be a bigger budget. And with the film tax breaks at the moment, it's very good investment for a potential investor to invest in a film because they get 50% back straight away.
Okay. Chris Greenwood, photographer turned zombie filmmaker. He has made Zombie Women of Satan 2. I think it's about time somebody started doing remakes of the Dennis Wheatley books.
Definitely.
Because they are damn scary. 8 minutes to 12.